Is this thing on? Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Every time Kathleen Kennedy thinks, or we think, she's got a handle on Disney Star Wars, something else happens of her own making to mess it up. So the Hollywood Reporter really exposed her here, and really put her in it. So let's give this a read, then we're going to have a little discussion about it. ObiWan Kenobi, Darth Maul scenes cut. Luke Skywalker replaced during creative overhaul. So we know that this series was going to be released a lot earlier. And all of a sudden they went back to the drawing board and we never knew why. This is why. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Maud Ray Park, who originated the character with The Phantom Menace, was expected to reprise as the character, but was then written out according to multiple sources by Boris Kitt and Aaron Crouch of The Hollywood Reporter. ObiWan Kenobi will include plenty of familiar faces when it debuts May the 25th, but one Star Wars fan favourite will be noticeably absent. Darth Maul, a chief antagonist of Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi, who first appeared in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is not expected to appear in the series. But sources tell The Hollywood Reporter not only was the Sith Lord initially slated to return to the live-action Disney Plus series as a key villain, actor Ray Park was in active prep to reprise Maul. That, however, was before those scenes were scrapped amid a creative overhaul that ultimately saw other antagonists, including Darth Vader, added to the show. We'll talk about this, why. Because you've got Vader, you can't have Maul. I mean, they're not the same person, right? Anyway, we'll get into it because it's ridiculous. Hussein Amini was the original writer who worked with director Deborah Chow on the 6-episode series, and while it was reported that pre-production paused in early 2020 because Lucasfilm was unhappy with the scripts, the reasoning behind the pause was little more layered. According to sources, Chow showed the scripts to Star Wars stewards Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who were coming off the success of The Mandalorian, freshly launched in November 2019, and dig into work on Season 2. Sources note that Filoni and Favreau were concerned about Obi-Wan covering similar ground as The Mandalorian. Oh, I see. It's Filoni and Favreau's fault, is it? Not Kathleen Kennedy's, right? Now, this is interesting, right? Because the other day, she said they changed it because it was too dark and brooding and they wanted to lighten it up. So 1 minute, it's Filoni and Favreau's fault, but then Kathleen Kennedy says it was to do with the tone. Well, make your minds up. Someone's not telling the truth here. The left hand isn't talking to the right hand. What a joke. We're concerned about Obi-Wan covering similar ground as The Mandalorian. The lone wolf and club-like story of Kenobi coming out of hiding to protect the child aged Luke Skywalker. Maul was one of the villains who would participate in the hunt for the peg. You know what? Let's get into this, right? Because actually, no one would have fucking noticed. He's travelling around with Baby Yoda and protecting him. Obi-Wan doesn't come into contact with Luke Skywalker, I don't think. Now, this is interesting, actually, because if we go back to A New Hope, I could be wrong here, actually, because if we go back to A New Hope, if you remember, he knows Obi-Wan Kenobi. So maybe they do talk. But this is actually an interesting one, because when Luke first sees him, he goes, in the film, he goes, Obi-Wan Kenobi? Boy, am I glad to see you. So he knows who he is. So clearly, he knows him. But has he ever spoken to him before? Or does he just know of him? That's an interesting thing. But I don't think it was going to be covered in a similar fashion. They weren't going to be traveling around the universe together. So it would have been different. And it wouldn't have been an issue. But I think they're lying about this to try and put the blame on Filoni. Vader was nowhere to be found in this faraway galaxy at this stage. According to those with knowledge of the project, also Filoni and Favreau pushed Chow and the show to go bigger, according to several sources. In any case, those concerns made their way to Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy, who pressed the pause button. Joby Harold was eventually hired as the show's new writer. It is unclear how far along in the process things initially unravelled. A boy was chosen to play young Skywalker, but no scenes with him were shot. As far as Park's maul goes, the picture is more cloudy. One source says Park was on set for pre-production and was also involved in stunt training. The source says footage of Park may have been shot, although another source says it could have been test footage, of course. Whatever the case, Park was back as Maul, or so he believed. In the overhaul, however, Maul was written out. One source says it was Filoni that conceptually keyed in on a way for Vader to be brought back as the big bad, with the Grand Inquisitor, a character made popular by Filoni in the animated series. Star Wars Rebels also put into the story. A Lucasfilm source contradicted the account, saying Maul was never intended to return for the series, nor did Park come to set. So someone's lying, right? The overhaul also led to a new search for a young Skywalker, and a new actor was picked. THR has learned the new Luke is Grant Feely, whose only credit according to IMDb is an episode of Creepshow. Maul stands as one of the more popular villains in Star Wars lore, appearing in animated series including Clone Wars and Rebels, which depicted the final battle between Maul and Kenobi. Maul and Park returned to live action for a cameo in Solo, a Star Wars Story 2018 that suggested there was more for the actor to do in a galaxy far, far away. Solo bombed, scuttling those plans, but soon fans speculated he could appear in Obi-Wan. Given that Maul was responsible for the death of Obi-Wan's master, Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn, the first trailer for Obi-Wan launched March the 9th and gave viewers a look at McGregor back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, as well as glimpses of a young Luke Skywalker and Uncle Lars, played by Joel Edgerton. One of its key pieces of music, John Williams' classic score, including Duel of the Fates, which was used during a Maul-centric lightsaber duel in 1999's The Phantom Menace, and saw Maul meet his match at the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, very, very interesting. So this is the Hollywood Reporter. This is not just some small site. So they've got two sources, one that claims Darth Maul was going to be involved, and the other one probably scuttling to say this never happened. So the Hollywood Reporter are trying to cover all bases here and angles so they don't get into trouble. What's the truth of this situation? The truth for me is that there are 6 Star Wars films for me, and there is Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars. That's it. Nothing else exists. Only George's 6 movies and Dave Filoni's 2 animated series. That's it. I'm not interested in anything else. Nothing in Star Wars Disney whatsoever. So I can enjoy George's and Dave's vision, but none of this. So let's unpackage this. So they're saying that originally Kenobi was going to be too similar to the Mandalorian. Bullshit. Then Kathleen Kennedy said last week they had to change it because it was too dark. So they're trying to because they're getting asked the question and they don't know what to say. Now we're hearing Darth Maul was probably going to be involved. But apparently Dave Filoni decided to bring Darth Vader in instead. Why can't you have Darth Vader and Darth Maul? Imagine this, a lightsaber duel. Darth Vader with his OG lightsaber, Darth Maul with a brand new double lightsaber, and they're both fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it brings back the same vibe as when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are fighting Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. Imagine that. Wouldn't you like that, Star Wars fans? But no, we've got Darth Vader, so we can't have Darth Maul. That doesn't even make sense, right? Darth Maul has this long history because we know of the animated series that he pretty much has made Obi-Wan his enemy. So he hates him. They hate each other. They both want to kill each other, right? That's the point. And in Rebels, they have that final battle, don't they? Which is so cool. So why not begin this kind of vibe in live action? And they meet for the first time since they fought in Phantom Menace. You can still have Vader as the protagonist. It doesn't make a difference. So I really don't understand this. But this sums up Disney Star Wars. And now we're hearing Lost Scribe, Damon Lindelof, and the guy who brought you The Leftovers, is developing a Star Wars movie. Now, we also know that J.J. Abrams brought on Damon Lindelof to be a full-time showrunner on Lost when it was an active show. So there's a J.J. Abrams connection here. So a lot of people who are angry with JJ with what happened with the sequel trilogy will not be happy to hear this. I think Damon would do a great streaming series on Disney Plus for Star Wars. He's very inventive. It could be interesting. Look what he did with The Leftovers. It'll be the usual extreme left commentary. He's just as bad as the rest of them. But a movie, developing a movie, is he going to write the movie? He's going to write and direct the movie. I mean, I've been begging Disney for a while to try and move Star Wars away from the Skywalker saga and give us new planets and new characters and new villains and new threats. That's what they need to do now. But it has to be good. Personally, I don't think Star Wars has the potential, away from what George did, to do very much. I actually believe this. And you're going to say, well, what about The Mandalorian? But yeah, but it can only go thus far. And it's only echoing what we've really seen in the Clone Wars and Rebels. They're only doing what's already been done so well. They can never give us a better, Ahsoka Tano that we had on the animated series. They can't. Now, she's brilliant. I love the actress who's playing her in live action, but she will never, ever be that one that we love, right? So why bother? Star Wars should have finished, really, with 9 movies. George Lucas should have been allowed to come back and at least write the final sequel trilogy, right? The final trilogy. And that's it. That's the only mileage I believe Star Wars has. Star Wars doesn't have that mileage to keep on going and going. I mean, you can find different Star Wars stories, of course you can, but it's blatantly obvious to the audience that you're squeezing it dead. The only one who understands Star Wars really, or ones, seems to be Dave Filoni, Favreau a little bit, and Lucas. So basically Disney invested all this money to buy this, and we all thought it was a genius move at first because of what they did with the MCU. Little did we know the genius wasn't Disney, it was Kevin Feige. And we've seen how incompetent they are when they're actually running a franchise themselves. So they haven't destroyed Star Wars for me. They haven't destroyed my childhood. They can't do that because my childhood is down the hallway in a cabinet. It's got Star Wars Phantom Menace. It's got Star Wars, whatever it's called, the second one, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. And then it's got New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And then it's got, like, the series, the animated series by Filoni. It's got everything I want from Star Wars there. I don't need anything else. Now, if they were going to buy it and do something inventive with imagination, which modern-day Hollywood doesn't have because they're creatively bankrupt and they're, like, so focused on their politics, they can't move. And we see what they do here. Who wouldn't want to see Darth Maul? Why can't you have Maul in that just because in this ObiWan Kenobi series, just because Vader's in it? Now, this series may be the best piece of Star Wars ever. So that might be something that I embrace as part of George's world as well. We're seeing. But when I think of the kind of people involved in that, and it doesn't seem to have anything to do with Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni, even though Filoni seems to have had the idea of having Vader and not Maul. I think they're using, John and Dave as the excuse because they've got more leverage with the consumer, so they can get away with saying, yeah, we got rid of Maul because of this reason. If Kathleen Kennedy says it was her idea, people are going to go mad. But she is the president of Lucasfilm, right? Whether she's an active president or she's only a president in name only, she's still there. So ultimately, as I say, I don't care about Disney Star Wars. I always check out the new stuff. I mean, Boba Fett was a betrayal of the character. It started off really interesting, actually. But then you get bored of Boba Fett, and then you just bring the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda and fake CGI Luke, which is crap, by the way, because you've got no imagination to do anything new. Of course, we don't want Darth Maul getting in the way of Vader, because Vader can make us more money and more subs and get more butts in seats. That's not how it works, actually. Vader and Maul are both popular. Having them both there makes you even more green, gets you even more subs. But they don't understand. So this is where we are with modern day Star Wars. Let it die. Let it die, for Christ's sake, because you don't have a clue. This has been Movies TV Mad talking about Star Wars. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And until the next time, I'll see you again soon. Until we meet again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. See you again soon.